Hey everyone, welcome back to Upside Down Data. This is a quick video following up on the previous video we made a few days ago about Ethereum, giving you an update on where things stand, and specifically going to talk a little bit about how to interpret that risk indicator information, the UDPI, about Ethereum in context to help guide your decision making. So what I want to convey to you today is that even as Ethereum is looking more and more attractive, as the risk comes down, there's still reasons to think that the action is with Bitcoin and that maybe Ethereum will have its day, but might not be the leader just yet. So I'm going to explain what I mean by that and why the focus is still on Bitcoin for now. So if you just look at this chart, you can see that Ethereum looks pretty good. I mean, we're looking at the weekly chart here, going all the way back to the COVID crash, that huge red candle in March 2020 to the downside. But we've been in this massive uptrend since. And after this summer pullback down to the 1600 range, we see that Ethereum is actually making a nice run and it's approaching its all-time high, even as Bitcoin is testing its own all-time high. So if you looked at this, you might think, damn, that looks good. I want a piece of that. That would be a reasonable thing to think looking at this chart. Another factor that you might be considering if you watched our video a few days ago is that we know that the risk on Ethereum has been decreasing over the past couple of months. If you look, you get a glimpse here at our data hub with our risk information about a growing number of assets. Sneak peek here. Second from the left, we see the Ethereum risk against US dollar. On this bottom panel, you can see this trend that it's been in over the past month. That's what this shows. And it's pulled back all the way from almost 3 down to 0.69. Again, this goes from -5, the least risky, to +5, the most risky. So it's been getting less and less risky. And actually, for the first time within the last 24 hours, pulled back to a lower level than Bitcoin, which you can see all the way on the far left. So these are reasons that you might be thinking Ethereum makes sense right now. But there are a couple of other things that you might want to consider. And in particular, factors that suggest that really Bitcoin is the leader for now, that the action is going to be there, and that maybe, not financial advice, but potentially the optimal play could be to continue focusing on Bitcoin and, approaching Ethereum over the next few months, gradually scaling in potentially. I'll say more about that in a minute. So this is the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. So how much Bitcoin is Ethereum worth? What you can see is that it looks less enticing than the Ethereum chart against the US dollar. You can see that it's been in a downtrend. Again, this is the weekly chart, and that downtrend has not broken since July. So we've been pulling back, and it looks like we continue to against Bitcoin. That means that Bitcoin is performing better than Ethereum. And what this chart really helps you wrap your mind around is, if I'm going to be exposed in this market, do I want that to be to Bitcoin or to Ethereum? And you can think of Ethereum to some degree as a proxy for other things that are not Ethereum as well. So is it about Bitcoin or is it about other things? So this chart suggests that maybe it's going to be about Bitcoin for now. Another factor you can look at to consider that is Bitcoin dominance. This tells you the percentage of total market cap that Bitcoin represents, total market cap of crypto. What you can see, again, this is the weekly chart. You can see that Bitcoin is constituting an increasing percentage. The dominance is increasing over the past several weeks, and it's now entering this resistance zone where it's been rejected 4 times over the past few months. And we don't know what's going to happen, whether it'll punch through and move up into this second yellow region there, which was an important support resistance level in the 2017, 2018 timeframe. We're going to have to wait and see. If Bitcoin dominance continues to rise, then the action is going to continue to be with Bitcoin, not with Ethereum as much. Even if Ethereum goes up in dollar value, it might go down in Bitcoin value, which would mean that Bitcoin during that time period would be the more attractive play. Let's also look at the UDPI, which is our risk indicator for Ethereum against Bitcoin. I just showed you the value of Ethereum against the US dollar, which has been declining. What about Bitcoin? I mentioned this in the video the other day, so let's get a quick update. So what I'm first going to pull up here is the price chart, color-coded by risk level. So this is the Ethereum versus Bitcoin price chart. This is the price history. On the left-hand side, you can see the values. They're a little bit small. We'll make them larger in the future. But we can see that 0.1 is up at this level up here, 0.1 down, 0.01, sorry, down below. And if we look over at the far right of the chart to where we are right now, we can see that the Ethereum risk against Bitcoin has been declining and is now sitting at about negative 1.5, where negative 5 is the lowest it could go. So it's been getting less risky. With less risk means more upside potential. So it's been getting more and more attractive over time. So why isn't that an argument for, going into Ethereum instead of Bitcoin right now? Well, it might suggest that it wouldn't be a crazy thing to do. It might not totally backfire on you, but it also, if you look at it differently, suggests that the Ethereum risk against Bitcoin is in a downtrend. We can see that more clearly if we look at this information in a different way. So this is the price history color coded, but what if we just look at the output of the UDPI model, this risk model that produces these values? What if we just look at that on a chart? So here we have on the y-axis, on the vertical dimension, we have +5 all the way at the top, -5 all the way at the bottom. -5 is the least risky, highest upside potential. 5 is the most risky, highest downside potential. And we can see that, again, we've been pulling back on the Ethereum to Bitcoin risk. You can see that it's actually pulled back just below -2, which is getting more and more attractive, more and more upside potential. And yet there's no sign of a reversal coming in on this chart. You can see that it's still moving down, and we don't know how long that will continue or how much farther it could go. So what's the takeaway here? Well, the takeaway, I think, is that a risk indicator like this, like the UDPI, can help you scale in. It can help you spread out your risk, and it can help you get, on average, a good entry if you plan purchases that are spread out to some degree. So we see -2 here on the chart. If you wanted to, you could start to make some purchases, maybe, every week or every few weeks or whatever works for you in whatever amount. You could increase that as it pulls back. So if risk were to get down to -3, that would get even more attractive. And again, I'm talking here about whether Ethereum or Bitcoin is really the direction that you want to go. This is kind of assuming that you're interested in having some exposure here, being a holder of Bitcoin or Ethereum. And the question is which one. And so if you were holding Bitcoin, you could be moving that, selling that into Ethereum step by step, potentially, not financial advice. This is just what a model like this could be used for, and what could make sense under the circumstances with Bitcoin really nearing its all-time high and potentially going into price discovery, which is a time when it usually outperforms. And Ethereum might be following behind it. It'll have its day, but it might come a little bit later, in a couple of months, potentially. Even if it climbs up in US dollar value, might lose value, might lose the race to Bitcoin during that time. So this chart, we're going to be looking for the sign of a reversal. We're going to be looking for an indication that the risk has bottomed out and that it might start to climb again. In other videos, we'll talk about how to actually look at this chart to identify those reversal points, because that's something that you can do with this information. But I think that's enough for this one video. The one other thing to consider, which I kind of mentioned earlier, is that this time of year tends to be good for Bitcoin. The end of the year tends to perform well. Ethereum tends to perform less well. So that's another factor that speaks in favor of Bitcoin relative to Ethereum for the near future. But Ethereum tends to do really well in the first part of the year, during the first quarter. And so that's another reason why gradually changing the balance of one's position, again, not financial advice, but I think this is more or less what I'm going to try to do, is to move the proportion, to move some Bitcoin into Ethereum as the risk of Ethereum events against Bitcoin decreases. And then by quarter one, to be ready for Ethereum to outperform. So hope you enjoyed the content. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, tell your friends about it. Come back next time. Looking forward to seeing you.